Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So I did mention a very long time ago that I was going to have some what I call Twitter conversations on this channel because there's a lot of things that people actually bring up on Twitter that are actually very important, I think, to address, to talk about, and to talk about solutions to. Now, in a previous video that I posted, I mentioned that I feel like in this day and time, in our culture, our society, our community, people like to drag certain demographics for doing stuff, but don't drag other demographics as much for doing the same thing, or just as worse, or for doing bad things right along with everybody else. Or they don't like to drag the demographic that they identify with for doing anything bad, but they are always pointing the finger at other people. Not only is that self-righteous, but it's also hypocritical. And people wonder why they're always at odds with people and people don't want to listen to them. You can't tell somebody something if you're out here doing the same thing, something else bad, but calling out other people and not yourself and holding yourself accountable or to the same standards you're trying to make other people live up to. Don't work like that. You have to be the standard first. Point, period, blank. And this particular issue pertains to that same kind of ideology, etc. So this woman, she made a general post in which she said, quote, "Most women are stripping down online for the whole world to see." She's quoting what she has heard some men say, and it's not those words always specifically, but I've heard plenty of people on the internet make it seem like all women are whoring themselves out, which is just ridiculous. I've said before, we need not go to the extreme or the other side of the extreme. Not everybody is doing everything wrong, and to make it seem that way is a slap in the face of the people who are trying to do right, and it's just ridiculous. Like, can we not be ridiculous, you know? Anyways, though, her response to that kind of statement is, "My brother in Christ, are you aware that your social media feeds, ads, and content are all targeted at you based on the things you search for and spend time looking at? Are you aware that the algorithms show you the things that they think you like because that's what you've told them about yourself?" And she didn't lie at all in that statement. Whatever you look at on the social media platforms, the algorithm picks that up, whether you want it to or not. And they're going to say, okay, well, clearly you've been spending hours sifting through content of women half naked. The algorithm doesn't care if you're talking about them and making them the reason why, once again, modern women are unmarriageable, which again is ridiculous and to the extreme. The algorithm doesn't care about that. It cares about this is what you're looking at. This is what you're choosing to focus on. So they're going to keep putting that kind of stuff in the rotation of your feed. She goes on and continues by saying, "I personally almost never see nakedness on my timeline. It's very rare that I'll see an inappropriate video of minors dancing." And I'm glad she included that. Some people might think that that's random, but it's not, because once again, we live in a time where people will excuse anything. And too many people are excusing inappropriateness where minors are concerned. She then goes on to say, "How is it that I am not frequently seeing these things, even though so many men on this hell site," and I'm glad she called it a hell site because that's exactly what it is sometimes, "seem to be convinced that most women are engaging in this behavior? Because I don't look for them, nor do I spend time looking at them when they do, however rarely, present themselves." And that's another thing I'm glad she mentioned. Even if you don't look at that particular material and you have fine-tuned the algorithm on your devices to present to you wholesome material, every now and then the algorithm will try you and try to present that back into your feed. All you have to do is either block the person who posted it, block that particular post, or let them know you're not interested. On YouTube, there is a way for you to say, "I'm not interested in this content. Do not recommend this channel. Don't recommend these kind of videos." It's really not that hard. She then goes on to conclude her post with something that I've been telling everybody on this channel for quite some time. But if that's all you're seeing all the time, this seems like a good opportunity for some introspection. For those who don't understand what she's trying to say, basically self-accountability. What have you been looking at? What have you been doing? What have you been spending all your time doing? What is the content that you've been wasting your life away on and consuming to the point where you see nothing on your feeds, nothing on your social media accounts except for that kind of material? The issue with a lot of these people, they don't want to admit that they have been consuming this by choice, which is why they think in the crazy ways that they do. It's real hard to think that women are good out here when you look at nothing but videos of people condemning women, women exploiting themselves, dressed a certain kind of way, not doing what they're supposed to. You expose yourself to that on social media because you chose to do it, and now you want to say that all women are raggedy, you want to drag all women? The devil and you are a good liar. Get your head out of the clouds, go outside, get some fresh air, some vitamin D from the sun. Talk to some normal people and learn once again how to fine tune what you're looking at. Some of these people are really becoming what they see every day, what they're choosing to see, and instead of holding themselves accountable, they're just dragging everybody else. It's ridiculous. That's why we have these little issues that we've got going on right now. Another post acknowledges that a lot of these people who think this way is because, let's call it out, because like I said, we tell the truth on this channel, because some of these people have a corn addiction. Minus the C, add a P. They've been doing nothing but looking at explicit material, and now their brains have rotted from the inside out, and they really think that these other women out here who are doing the right thing and carrying themselves the right way, who they don't know anything about, that they're out here doing this stuff, that these women who they've been watching all day. Told you, when you watch these people, when you choose to watch this kind of content, it messes with your brain chemistry and it causes you to think that things that are not true are true, and it destroys your perception of reality. And make no mistake, some of these people who are making these generalized statements about women as a whole, it's because they're projecting. These women who they're dragging, that is how they feel about themselves. That is what applies to them. So they now have to go out and project what applies to them that they refuse to fix in themselves onto other people. And because they are raggedy individuals themselves, they are attracting raggedy individuals. And they're mad because they're attracting raggedy individuals. Another thing I've also been saying on this channel for a while now is that this explicit material, once again, is ruining people's abilities to form normal, healthy, functional, non-toxic connections, not attachments, connections with other people that they should be able to form like normal functioning individuals of society. And it's not just the hub, if you will, that's causing this, people choosing to go to the hub, if you will. It's also these movies out here that people are watching that have explicit materials. I remember I made a video calling out that show, I don't even remember what it was called, where Chloe Bailey was in there and people were mad because they felt like it was a misrepresentation of her. She was exploiting herself because in like the first episode, allegedly, she was bent over, if you will, getting back shots from Damson Idris, and it was pretty explicit. It was basically explicit adult material right there in the show. And people had an issue with me calling it out, saying that I was a prude. Why I gotta have issues with her? If she wants to do this and she wants to act this way all on screen, she can do that because she's an adult. Like, people like to watch it, but then didn't want to admit that they were wrong for saying that because this girl came out and told y'all she was uncomfortable with doing that scene. Everybody wants to watch people spread their legs on scene so they can get off their lust. But they don't care about how a lot of these actors and actresses, they don't actually be wanting to do some of that stuff. They don't be wanting to be involved in those kind of scenes. They don't want to be exploited like that. They don't feel comfortable. They're not happy. They're upset. It kills them on the inside. Every time somebody tries to justify corn minus the C, add the P, I always like to remind them how they were even celebrities calling people out for using it, putting themselves, in the front seat to be an example of why they shouldn't. Terry Crews is a good example of that. He admitted that he had an addiction for years and that it almost destroyed his life and his marriage. He looked at people as bodies to get pleasure from instead of actual people. Billie Eilish, she's another one. She said that it ruined her brain. She said that she hated it and she hated what it does to people mentally. And it's good that they came out and they told their story so people can understand how deep this really goes. But it's sad that it took whole celebrities to come out and say this for some people to actually maybe be like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have these explicit scenes in these movies, in these TV shows. Not only is it not good for us because we shouldn't be watching this, but it's also bad because these actors and actresses, it might ruin them. It might ruin their relationships and they might not be happy. This might traumatize them. And once again, it's sad that people are more concerned with being perverted, being lustful, having no self-control, getting themselves off and satisfying the lust of their flesh. They're more concerned about that than how these people feel about being the object of them getting themselves off. Once again, somebody tried to use the corn example and they were not having it. They're trying to use this, excuse as, oh, well, young boys, they get exposed really early. And that does happen a lot of times, unfortunately. And, parents try to regulate it by taking the phone, the PlayStation away, but they still find ways to get to it. Basically on some, what were we supposed to do? As if they didn't have the choice that they could have made to not further expose themselves and get some help. Like I said, she wasn't having it. She said at some point in time, you got to stop making excuses. You got to stop saying, oh, well, I was a boy when this happened and blah, 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 this. You're a man now. You're an adult. Act like an adult. Make the right decisions. Get help. Talk to God about it. Stop using what happened in your past that were either in your control or not in your control, or your own personal decision to continue feeding your lust and becoming addicted as excuses and justifications for your bad behavior, for your perverted behavior. I never said it was going to be easy to fix these problems, but for you to not do anything at all and make it somebody else's issue and then fix your raggedy mouth to talk about them, that's not acceptable, and it needs to stop. At some point in time, everybody's going to have to be accountable for what happened, for what they chose to do. They've got to be responsible for their own healing and making sure they don't sink lower into whatever they're dealing with. No excuses, no justifications. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.